everyone, welcome back to my channel, Notable #Take Notes. I am Amira Fuller, bringing you our Identity 101 series, and I'm so excited once again to be sharing this information with you. Why? Because I believe that when you apply this knowledge and hear this information, you're going to see your life change, because this information brings results, okay? Now, if you want to understand what this Identity 101 series is about, go to my previous video. I go on to explain what we're going to be diving into in this series. But in today's episode, I'm going to be posing a question which goes like this. Is identity something that is given, or is it something that is self-made? Now, you may be hearing the terms around that say, I'm self-made, I did that, I worked for that. That's my money. I worked my back, I put my back into it. Ain't nobody can tell me anything. Nobody can tell me anything. Like, you hear a lot of I did this. And I think that we're actually mistaken. You see, I think the word self-made has been mistaken with the word contribute. That job didn't make you. If you put your worth in your job, when it gets taken away from you, just like what happened to a lot of people during COVID, who are you now? And that's just being completely real. So I want people to understand, and I want us to all grow and learn and find out, has that really made me, or has it contributed to me? And that's what we're going to be quickly defining in these videos, okay? So let's define the two words, given and self-made, all right? Given is defined as something that is delegated, something that's been assigned to you, something that you've been selected for, inherited, okay? And then we have self-made. Self-made literally means made by oneself. It's something that you do. It's something that you do with effort, and it's not inherited, okay? So then we have to look at, right, if it's my job that makes me, who was I before the job? You know, it leaves so much room for unanswered questions when you're thinking about self-made. However, given, if it's something that's inherited, if it's something that's been assigned to you, there's nothing else really to do apart from accept. And what we find in society is that within mankind, we find that it's hard to accept just the certain truth. Now, in our previous video, we went on to define what identity means, and I'll define it again. Identity is the state of being who or what a thing is. And now the hardest part for people to do is to accept their state. Now, with that being said, if it's hard for people to accept their state, what does that leave room for? It leaves room for self-discovery. When people choose not to accept a thing, even if it's true, if they still fail to accept it, it's inevitable for them to go and search, because we're all on the hunt to discover who we are. And when we fail to accept the truth about a thing, we go around self-discovering, going through trial and error until we find something that we're just going to be satisfied with and content with. And sometimes we might find pleasure in those things, but then you'll find that you don't have the true fulfillment. So I'm here to help you think and shift your perspective on whether you have created your own identity or whether it's something that has actually been given to you. So now I'm going to look at the first point, which is, has identity been given? Now, this is not something I'm going to force on anybody. However, I'd like you to be open to this perspective, okay? I'm going to use the analogy of a manufacturer and a product. Right now, I have a MacBook, okay? This MacBook was designed by somebody. He thought about who the users will be. He thought about what it will be for. He thought about the functions that it will have. He thought about the uses that it can have. He thought about all these different things. Now, when the product was created, it doesn't have a voice to say, why have you made me like this? You have no say in that. The Mac can't say to the manufacturer, why did you make me like this? Or who told you to make me? You have no play in how you were created. The fact is, you were created. It's a state. So when there is something or someone that is superior than you, that has created you, what you have to learn to do is accept. Now, you'll find that humanity are the hardest type of creation because they have so much questions. They ask so much different things. They're wondering, and that usually happens when we have wandered away from the truth, wandered away from the heart. And that is something that is generational. Generationally, we have been, taken away further and further from the truth. So now it's all about self-discovery. It's all about personal truth. So now, if we want to take it back to this MacBook, Can the MacBook say to Steve Jobs, hey, why are you making me like this? Why did you put all these functions on me? Why am I like this? No, I don't want to be used by people. I want to be in the sea. I want to be like a fish. This is what I want to do. This is me. This is it. Now, the Mac wasn't designed to function in water. So what happens if you was to put the Mac in water? It's not going to work anymore. And you find that with a lot of human beings, they don't want to accept how they've been made. They can't fathom that this is how they've been made. So what do? They put themselves in an environment where they believe they fit in, or they believe this is where they're supposed to be. But then they find that internally, they're truly not fulfilled. And outwardly, they're just like, this is what I want. This is it. And it's like a little war going on in the mind. And you would think to yourself, why do people act like that? You might think to yourself, I've done that before though. You know, I might want to be a man, or I want to be a female, but I'm trapped in this body. I'm trapped in this female body. Why am I in this body? God, if there is a God, why did you make me a female? I feel like a man, I like women, all these different things. And now, that's not wrong to think if you are not aware of what the truth is. And you can only be exposed to the truth if you allow yourself to hear. And as I stated, when you have come to a place where you don't accept your state, you're not going to want to hear the truth. You are going to want to accept your own truth because that's what you're searching for. Sometimes the very things that we're searching for are wrapped up in a different package. And it's very hard for us to say, this is the package I want. But if you allowed yourself to be exposed to the truth about who you are, like this MacBook, if the MacBook only understood its functions, if the MacBook only understood what the maker had in mind for the MacBook so that he could, or it could, go to its fullest potential, they wouldn't want to be anything else. And that's the same thing with human beings. Human beings have a manufacturer. They have somebody that created them in their mind. They had an intention. They had their best interest for. And as I posed the question in my previous video, does a manufacturer create anything for it to fail? No. If he does, I have to think, why did you create me? And if you are thinking in your life that you're failing, if you are thinking in your life that you're not operating to the best potential, then you may have to reconsider who are you going to find out how you function. Are you going to an unverified dealer, or are you going to the true source? This is something that's interesting. This MacBook, I can find parts for this MacBook at a local electronics shop, okay? They might give me a battery that so happens to work in this Mac. However, it may not have the same longevity, and it may cause dysfunction in the operation of how this Mac is supposed to run. And you might find that yourself, you might find yourself fitting into a particular environment. You might find yourself being able to succeed somewhere. But does that mean that that's what you're supposed to be doing? Does that mean that that's where you're supposed to be? And these are the questions I really want you to think about. Because one thing about the actual manufacturer is that there's no mistakes. They have everything that you need. Whenever anything goes wrong, you can go back and get the exact thing, the exact part. And so that you can have the best function, longevity, and the best life possible. So why don't we translate this to humans? Is it because humans are unaware of their truth? Is it because we've gone so far away from the truth that they don't know where to go? Possibly. And that's where I come in and say, if everything created has a creator, humans, mankind, humanity, we ought to think alike. If I presented another product before you, could you tell me that it created it itself? Let's leave some room for that. You have to think about that when it comes to you as well. It may be a hard truth to digest. However, it's definitely something you need to consider. Because when you understand that you have been created, when you understand that you have been designed in a particular and peculiar way, you realize that there's certain things that I'm not operating in. There's certain applications that I have not touched yet on the inside of me. There's certain things where, you feel like there's more to your life, but you just don't know what it is. Maybe if you went back to the manufacturer, if you went back to the manual book for life, you will understand what it is you're supposed to be doing. Now, that's just one angle. Self-made. If we want to look at self-made, being self-made can be quite unreliable Because now you're going through trial and error, experiences, losses, wins, gains. There are a lot of loopholes in self-discovery. With self-discovery, you have to truly allow for mistakes. Now, not to say that you might be on a journey where you're discovering the truth and during that time you might make some mistakes. It's bound to happen. That's what the search of life is about. It's about finding your truth and embracing the journey that comes with it, okay? And that's why I'm here to also help assist in making that journey much smoother. But going back to self-made, you do have to make room for mistakes, trial and error, hurt, pain, stress, frustration, all these different things when it comes to being self-made. You may lose your value because you have put your value in a circumstance rather than something that has already been principled. And that's why being self-made is interesting. You'll find yourself being harder on yourself. You'll find yourself not really knowing where to go. You may have had one thing in a season that worked for you, and then in the next season, it's not working for you. And it leaves room for confusion and frustration. And that's the thing about being self-made, is that there's no principle. As I stated in our previous video, that principles are truths, the success of a thing. They never change, they are unwavering, they are principled. The thing about being self-made is that it's not principled, it's not reliable, it's not assured, because you are the one in control. And how can we control something that we don't yet understand? And that's why being self-made is not the best ground to base your identity on. However, this does not mean to neglect the effort that you put in to becoming your best self, building on character, getting your money, and things like that. However, we do have to consider, what's the principle that I'm living my life on? Principles guarantee success. Principles were designed to help you succeed. And when you violate principle, you go on the search of self-discovery, and it can breed corruption. If principles were designed to succeed, there's a law of polarity, which literally means there's an opposite for everything. So if principles were designed to succeed, when you violate them, you'll find yourself making more mistakes and things like that. And so self-made, you might find yourself making more mistakes than you would in walking in a principled life, in walking in a principled identity. And that's why the question of, is identity given or identity self-made? I believe identity is given. If we again want to look at the example of a manufacturer and a product, humans, you are not any different. And I'm hoping that this information will provoke you to see things from another perspective and put you in a place of where you can search. Now, if you want to look for different sources, go ahead. However, I believe that the information I'll be sharing with you will help you find the right path concerning your life. One thing I believe about humanity is that in science there is a law of oneness. And I believe that you can relate that to spirituality, that there is a law of oneness and everything connects together. And I believe God is that source. And so stay tuned to this video and many more, because I believe that as we dive into more, you're going to find the answers that you've been searching for your whole life. And I can say that with my chest, okay? So that's today's video. Is identity given or is it self-made? And I hope from this you'll find the answer and find the truth. Stay tuned for my next video. We're about to go deeper and deeper in each video, and so I'm excited for this and I hope you are too. Make sure you share, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, because I believe that you're going to save somebody's life and time through showing them this video, okay? So I'll see you all in my next video. Stay blessed and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.